Hi, everyone. I actually need you to respond. Hi, everyone. Okay, great. Because I'm going to ask you to do something very soon. And how do we start this? Let's go. Repeat after me, please. Breast. I can't hear you guys. Good. Vulva. It's louder here than here. The guys on this side. Now I'm going to be facing you. Vulva. Good. Scrotum. Vagina. Penis. Some people will say penis. Pronounce it anyhow. Penis or penis. Say it. Okay, penis. Now, let's switch this up a bit. Pronounce these words in your local dialect. I will particularly like to hear the Yoruba version for scrotum. Now, I can see a lot of us shifting in our chairs and wondering, okay, what is this? Trust me, I am trying to hide my cringing too. I mean, as I thought, I particularly picked out scrotum because when I was preparing this and I thought about the word in Yoruba, I cringed, even though it was in my head. And this is because of the type of education most of us have been exposed to. How many of us here, a woman, heard the famous warning, if a boy touches you, you'll get pregnant? And how many of us guys heard, if you touch a girl, she'll get pregnant and your life is over? Now, this is the greatest sexuality education most of us have had. We have been taught not to think, sleep, imagine, or dream sex. It's interesting how one moment you're asked, I don't want to go, I don't want to see any boy around you. You must not. I remember my father calling myself and my younger brother and saying, I don't want to hear anything about a girl right now. Guess my brother's response? You won't hear. You won't hear. But that is what most of us were exposed to. I don't know about you, it was not enough for me. If it wasn't enough for me, it can never be enough for the current young people or the young people of the future. Today, I want to talk to us about breaking the silence around sexuality and being able to have open, honest, and non judgmental conversations. I'd like to start by telling us who adolescents are. They're a group of people between the ages of 10 and 19, and this period of development is a very critical period of development that includes physical development, cognitive development, emotional development, and social development. Social because what you expect from a 10-year-old child is different from what you expect from a 15-year-old. We expect responsibility from adolescents when they get to a certain age, but we do not prepare them for this responsibility. Adolescents require some form of support as they navigate this critical stage of development. And this support have been shown in research to comprise of three core things. Number one is information. As we all know, knowledge is power, and knowledge comes from information. Without information, people do not know how to act or what to do. A lot of times you see parents hit children for doing the wrong thing when no one told them what the right was. Most times we get condemned after we have done the wrong things when nobody actually told us what to do in the first place. The next thing young people need is support. We need a supportive environment to actually be able to practice what we learn. The next thing is skills. A lot of times our society is loaded with information. We have knowledge. But one thing we lack is skills. We know the what, we know the why, we don't know the how. There's a program that has been shown for years after years of research to encompass these three things and provide it for adolescents and young persons. And this program is called Comprehensive Sexuality Education. Now, you see, this is a very sensitive talk. Every time most people hear comprehensive sexuality education, what people think about is how to have sex. So when you tell someone, oh, I'll be teaching your child comprehensive sexuality education, the mother's like, no way. You're not telling my child about sex. So what is comprehensive sexuality education? And I'll be reading out to us. Comprehensive sexuality education, also known as CSE for short, is a curriculum-based process of teaching and learning about cognitive, emotional, physical, and social aspect of sexuality. Another word for sexuality is actually humanity. So when we talk about comprehensive sexuality education, we're actually saying comprehensive humanity education. Essentially, that's what we're saying. It aims to equip children and young people with knowledge, just as we said earlier, skills, attitudes, and values that will empower them to, one, realize their health, well-being, and dignity, help them to develop respectful social and sexual relationships, consider how their choices affect their own well-being and that of others, and finally, understand and ensure that they can protect their own rights throughout their lives. This is the content and the purpose of sexuality education. Any other thing you hear is not true. At the core of comprehensive sexuality education, it is opportunity to actually open a forum for open, honest, and non-judgmental discussion. That's the idea. And this is why it is mostly implemented in schools across the globe. Most countries in the world implement CSE in schools because we assume that this is a place where young persons are able to have open, honest, and non-judgmental conversations. Whether that happens in some places or not, we don't, but that's what we assume it should be, and that's why we implement it at schools. In Nigeria, we are a very religious country. We're a very cultural country. However, we've also been able to implement CSE in the form of family life and HIV education. We have implemented this curriculum for more than 20 years. And that's why Nigeria has actually become a critical study point for a lot of other countries, because Nigeria is highly religious, highly cultural, but we still implement CSE. It was first introduced in 2002, scaled up nationally in 2003. By 2010, the whole country, all the states were already implementing FLHE. First of all, it was implemented in a way that it fit into the structure of existing educational systems. We taught FLHE through existing subjects. Everyone sitting down here actually learned FLHE. Well, maybe not everybody, at some point. Because its contents of FLHE were embedded in social studies, biology, integrated science, agric science, CRS, IRK, and other subjects, so that as students learn the regular things at school, they're also able to learn about humanity. But when you heard me talk about FLHE, I didn't call it comprehensive sexuality education. I actually called it sexuality education. And this is because people believe that FLHE isn't comprehensive. Now, why isn't it comprehensive? I'll get back to that in a minute. These are the major contents of FLHE. We have human development, personal skills. Personal skills, children learn about decision-making, communication, negotiation skills, all life-building skills that are necessary to actually grow up to become a responsible adult. They talk about HIV infection. In fact, FLHE was introduced into the system when there was an increase in the incidence of HIV amongst young people. And so it was education's way of combating HIV. And that's why HIV is a very important part of the curriculum. They also talk about relationships and then society and culture. What are some of the shortcomings of FLHE? It's a great curriculum, but there are shortcomings for it. One, FLHE is an abstinence-only curriculum. Well, how did it become abstinence-only anyway? It's because we are, like I said earlier, we are largely religious. 90% of Nigerians identify as very religious. We are also very cultural. And most of our religion and culture does not support sex before marriage. And so there's the assumption that every single person should actually delay sex until marriage. And so the curriculum focuses on telling young people to stay away from sex. While this is important and very good, research has shown that it is never effective, because there is still at least 30% of the population that will initiate sex before marriage, at least. The other thing is there's some content of the curriculum that has been taken out. In the document, we do not talk about dating relationship. Of course, we do not assume that, we assume that they should not be in a relationship. If you are between 10 and 19, you are not supposed to have a boyfriend. You are not supposed to have a girlfriend. If you have one, you are in trouble. So because you're not supposed to have one, we are not going to teach you about how to maintain one. So that was taken out of the curriculum. We also took out anatomy and physiology of the body because we assumed that if you show girls what a penis looks like, they're going to start desiring one. And so that was taken out of the curriculum as well, not to talk about the human body. And then, of course, no mention of contraceptives, abortion, masturbation, and other issues that we know are actually really affecting young people. Then, in the curriculum, there is no word that has sexual in it. The entire FLHE curriculum, there's no sex, there's no sexual, there's no sexuality. Everywhere we should have sexuality, it has been replaced with humanity. And this is because we understand the sensitivities of our environment, and then we swapped around the words so that we do not have issues with people and implementing the curriculum. One other issue is that the curriculum is low on skills. It talks a lot about the hows. For example, when we talk about abstinence, we talk about how, what is abstinence? Young children understand what abstinence is. They know why they should abstain. What they don't know is how to abstain because nobody talks about it. Half the time, the teacher teaching you why and what don't even know the how. It is not all bad news with FLHE. A lot of great things have come out of FLHE. We had improved HIV prevention knowledge among young people. We've had improved awareness of sexual harassment. We've had good gender communication between boys and girls. Girls have better connectedness in school. And my favorite is it has helped teachers become better teachers. It has also helped teachers become better parents, and it also helped them to become better guardians of some of the teenagers that have been put into their care. Studies that we have conducted over the years consistently show that teachers who go through FLHE training are actually better teachers than teachers who do not. And students are more likely to like those kind of teachers as compared to the other kind of teachers. This is because they have a better understanding of who an adolescent is, and they are better able to address them at the point of their needs, not just with the assumption of what you think an adolescent needs, but what they truly actually need. Despite all the positive things that have come out of FLHE, there's still been a lot of resistance to FLHE implementation in Nigeria. I told you it's not comprehensive. We don't even talk about a lot of things that young people really want to hear about, but there's still resistance against implementing it. In the early days between 2006 and 2008, I can't remember which date exactly, a female copper in the north was stripped naked and made to walk the street while she was being flogged by men. Why? Because she talked about dating relationship in class. Last year, our very own Federal Minister for Education declared that FLHE was going to be struck out of the curriculum. This is, according to him, that it is teaching children bad things. I look through the curriculum, I do not see a bad thing there. We talk about knowledge, information, illuminating people's minds. But we have people who make policies for us who are actually not knowledgeable about some of the things that they make policies about. We figure that a lot of people do not even understand what is in the content of FLHE, but they fight against it. Media has raised a lot of hell around CSE Nigeria. But if you look at the content, there is actually nothing in the content that says children are being taught bad things. But because people keep speaking against it, it's the only narrative we have. What has this led to? We continue to have increased teenage pregnancy. As at now, we have 200,000 teenagers between the ages of 15 and 19 giving birth annually in Nigeria. That is about 22 teenagers every hour giving birth. This is those giving birth, not those pregnant. And those who gave birth in the hospitals that we could count. Increased mortality from unsafe abortion. As at 2015, there was a record of over 500,000 adolescents having gone through abortion, unsafe abortion. And these are the people who came back to the hospital for post-abortion care. Increased rape experience and exposure. Lower age of sexual initiation. Teenagers are beginning to have sex at an early stage than they used to. And yet, we want to keep quiet. Adolescents are the most affected by HIV infection. The HIV incidence among adults is dropping in the country, but amongst adolescents, it is increasing. We're having more adolescents who are contracting HIV than before, but we're still silent. Having said all this, what are some of the things I want each and every one of us to take away from this talk? First, ignorance makes adolescents susceptible to being preyed on. Just by keeping silent, we actually expose people to dangers. And shying away from having these conversations does not somehow make them innocent. If anything, it makes matters worse. I heard a story of a young girl in OAU who walked up into the clinic to tell the doctor that she was having cramps and was really serious. And the doctor told her that the only way to cure her cramps was for her to have sex. And of course, a few weeks later, he solicited sex from her. When you do not know the truth, you're susceptible to being preyed on. Half-baked information is worse than no information. Many of us might have heard the infamous story of the young girl who was going to school, and the mother told her that don't let anybody see your pants. And then she came back from school excitedly telling the mother that, oh, mommy, I made sure nobody saw my pants at school today. And the mom was like, oh, how? She said, oh, I needed to climb the tree at some point, and then I knew they were going to see my pants if I climbed this tree. So the mother said, so what did you do? I took out the pants. All the information she got was, don't let them see your pants. Did they see the pants? No. Half information is worse than no information. We need to improve on the implementation of FLHE. We need to update the content of FLHE. FLHE was developed in 2002, like I said. Adolescents of 2002, 2005 are different from adolescents today. If we are going to provide them with necessary information and skills and support they need to face the challenges that they have to face today, then we need to update the curriculum to be able to provide them with those kind of support, information, and skills. Each one of us here is a stakeholder. An important stakeholder are the parents. A study conducted across 34 countries showed consistently across the countries that parents really do want to talk to their teenagers about sexuality, they just don't know how. In UCH here, a few years ago, we conducted a study where we helped parents to, with necessary skills and capacity to talk to their children. And we realized that 80% of the parents who we engaged over a period of 3 months actually gained capacity to begin to talk to their children about their sexuality. Parents do want to talk to their children about sexuality, but a lot of them do not know how or what to say to their children. We also learn from research consistently that children would like to hear from their parents. They would like to hear from adults. They would like to hear from their teachers, but a lot of them do not trust the parents or teachers to have these conversations with them. So they turn to other things like peers and friends and internet, social media inclusive. My hope is that each one of us in this room will become an advocate for sexuality education, and we will encourage people around us. And how does it start with you? Inform yourself. You cannot pass on what you do not know. You need to be informed so that you can inform. I hope we would join hands together, break the silence, and build a world where every young person realizes their potential and they are able to live and thrive in a world that we are making. Thank you very much.